Someone once said love is stronger than death, even though it can't stop death from happening. But no matter how hard death tries, it can't separate people from love. It can't take away our memories either. In the end, life is stronger than death. This quote reminds me of a very special and important figure that was a part of my life for 12 years. My grandfather, Ken W. Johnson, was a man of many words with a heart as big as a Texas sky. To many, he was Ken Johnson, businessman, professional baseball player, and frequent country club visitor. But to me, he was Kenny, and that's how I want to remember and celebrate his life today. My Kenny was born into a poor family in the city of Topeka, Kansas. From a young age, Kenny learned the worth of a dollar as his family struggled to survive off the food they grew in their backyard. I believe Kenny learned the worth of a dollar during his childhood, and that is what drove him to be the successful man he was. Fortunately for Kenny, he had a gift that would take him out of poverty and turn him into a success: his athleticism. As a star athlete at his high school in football and baseball, Kenny was given the chance to play at the collegiate level for the University of Kansas. It was at the University of Kansas that Kenny met his soon-to-be wife and my grandmother, Barbara Burns. Soon after, Kenny was drafted into the MLB to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. Kenny also played for the Detroit Tigers and ended his career with the Philadelphia Phillies with the birth of his first child, Christy. Aside from his athleticism, what most made Kenny was his huge heart and love for his family and friends. Although he had a bit of a stubborn side, you could always count on Kenny when in need. He was like the Rock of Gibraltar, strong and courageous when he needed to be, but loving and affectionate too. As a young girl, one of my most fond memories of Kenny is of him making breakfast. Every morning when my family was in Kansas to visit my grandmother and him, we would wake up to the smell of pancakes, bacon, and eggs, with Kenny cooking it, all in his boxer shorts, long socks, dress shoes, and windbreaker. It was a sight that always brought a smile to my face, and still does to this day. Also, I will always remember Kenny's love for New Way. New Way is a local diner in Wichita that served things like milkshakes, hamburgers, and french fries. But the thing it was most famous for was the New Way. A New Way is ground up hamburger meat on a toasted buttered hamburger bun with pickles and mustard. Kenny was a huge fan of New Way, and every time we were in town, he always made us stop there for some lunch. And I am sure I'm not the only one who will always remember Kenny's nightly beef eaters on the rocks and his routine of freezing a cup of milk in the freezer hours before dessert just because he wanted the milk to be colder. He was the atypical elderly man on the outside with gray hair, tanned, wrinkled skin, in his Cadillac sedan, but on the inside, he was anything but average. My grandfather, Kenny, was the type of man who would not want us to mourn over his death, but instead to celebrate his life. He was a special man who touched many lives during his time. He was a great husband, father, grandfather, and friend. To this day, there is not one person I have talked to who has had a bad thing to say about him. Kenny was many things in his life, but I am most grateful to have been able to call him my grandfather.